Everybody loves a good rags to riches story, especially the ones who defy all the odds.
What an incredible Cinderella story. This unknown comes out of nowhere to lead the pack. At Augusta, he's on his final hole. He's about 455 yards away. He's going to hit about a 2-iron, I think. Well, you got all of that.
When you win, you make the big bucks. But a Cinderella story isn't the only way to rake in the dough. Some people have a dark secret on how they struck it rich.
Are you in the mafia?
Am I in the what?
Whatever you want to call it. Organized crime.
That's total crap. I'm in the waste management business. Everybody immediately assumes you're mobbed up. It's a stereotype, and it's offensive.
Joe Biden's tried to sell us on his rags to riches story as the son of a used car salesman, working as a pool boy, fighting villains like Corn Pop. Biden defied all the odds when he was elected a U.S. Senator at 29. But to him, it didn't get any easier from there.
I had the great pleasure of being listed as the poorest man in Congress for 36 years. I didn't think you should make money while you're in office.
I had the dubious distinction of being listed as the poorest man in Congress.
I was listed for the entire time I was in the United States Congress as the poorest man in the United States Congress. My net worth was net zero a couple times.
So how'd Joe Biden go from zero to a multimillionaire? Well, the Bidens want us to think it was just the luck of the draw for middle-class Joe. They went from living off of a government salary to making $11 million in Joe's first year out of office. Pure luck. So where'd the money come from? Well, we're told Joe and Jill got lucky with an $8 million book deal. Joe was supposed to write 2 books, Jill just one. Jill's book only sold 45,000 copies. Joe's did all right, and he hasn't written the second one yet. I mean, the ghostwriter hasn't written the second one. Plus, they tell us Joe made $4 million in speaking fees. $4 million. The guy can't even speak. I mean, I can see you paying Obama a lot of money, but Biden? Who's paying money to listen to Biden? We don't know, but that's the point. They were funneling all of their money into S corporations. What's an S corp? Well, it's like your own corporation. It's like a side business. You pay less taxes when you pull money through it. And it's separate from your income tax returns. Joe released his income tax returns, but he hasn't released his S corp tax. So we have no idea what's going on with Joe's side hustles. And again, that's the point. Is that where the 50 grand went that Hunter was paying him rent? Is that where the 10% for the big guy goes? And remember, Hunter was giving up half of his salary to Joe. Told his daughter, quote, "Unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary." So where's the money? Joe wasn't spending any of it. Hunter was paying the big guy's phone bills, renovations to the beach house. Joe's business was Hunter's business.
If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked to be on the board of Burisma?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden.
No kidding. Hunter made millions in Ukraine and China off of daddy's name. But somehow Hunter doesn't have money to pay his baby mama? Does that make any sense? Hunter wasn't blowing 80 grand a month on crack. He'd be dead. The money was going somewhere. Isn't it a little suspicious that before Hunter got a board seat on a Ukrainian energy company, he had deep intel on Ukraine? The kind of stuff out of, let's just say, a classified intelligence report, like what a senator might get or maybe even a vice president? Is it a coincidence that Joe had documents on Ukraine and Iran stashed away at his Chinese-funded think tank? The same think tank Hunter was having sit-down interviews about and China funneled almost $100 million into? If there's business with the Bidens, all the Bidens get involved. Just listen to Joe's brother, Frankie Four Fingers.
You see, my family's kind of a family operation. I'm a pretty good student in terms of, who I get involved with, what I attach myself to. Because let's face it, guys and ladies, I mean, whatever I do, I'm not because of Frank, but because of the honor of being the brother of a guy I think we all know and love.
The business model was Joe all along. Hunter didn't have to be an energy expert to get money, just like Frankie Four Fingers worked at a law firm. But he wasn't a lawyer. Didn't matter. He was a Biden.
I'm Frank Biden. I'm the non-attorney senior advisor to clients statewide who need diversified business solutions through the Berman Law Group.
Frankie Four Fingers was getting gigs dropped on his lap. Why? Again, he's a Biden. But meanwhile, Biden's youngest brothers say he doesn't have a penny to his name. How much of a cut is the big guy taking from Four Fingers? He must be like his other brother, Jimmy the Chin. The Chin has a $7 million net worth, we hear, and a $3 million beach house. His job? Nobody knows.
James Biden was also named in a lawsuit filed in July. He allegedly received about $600,000 in loans in 2018 from a company he worked with, AmeriCorps Health, based upon representations that his last name Biden could open doors and that he could obtain a large investment from the Middle East based on his political connections.
From the Middle East. And some of the other loans were coming from Biden's biggest donors. Now, why were Joe's donors handing Jimmy the Chin money and not Joe? Well, the Free Beacon kind of explains how the whole thing works. Jimmy the Chin's daughter was a mess. She had a nasty DUI and was caught in a credit card fraud case, spent $100,000 on makeup with stolen plastic. She had a probation officer, the whole nine. So Jimmy the Chin, Biden's brother, calls Hunter and says, "My daughter's a mess. I need you to take her from me." Hunter was in California and said, "No problem, Chin, I'll handle it." Hunter calls Massimo Corporation, you know, the watch, one of Biden's biggest donors. Hunter says, "I need you to get my niece a no-show job with perks." They say, "Sure, we'll make her an associate. We'll pay her $85,000 plus stock options." Guess what happened? The naughty niece turned it down. The spoiled brat said, "I never got paid a salary that low. Double it." So she shows up to the interview and bombs. And what happens? Well, they end up giving her an unpaid internship anyway. A 31-year-old with a rap sheet and an unpaid internship. People with money take care of the Biden family, and the Biden family take care of people with money. Everybody takes money and spreads it around. You don't have to be qualified. You just have to know Joe. And wait until we find out about those 150 wire transfers that were flagged the Treasury's hiding. Janet Yellen, hello. Those are going to be tasty. But back to the classified documents. The people say, "Oh, Biden had classified documents in his garage." Who cares? Trump and Pence did too. They're missing the point. Everyone has classified documents. Anything can be a classified document nowadays, remember?
There really is a problem of overclassifying everything. The menu at the White House is classified. So there are problems. I'm not kidding. There are problems with this.
The senator had me thinking, so I might even have classified documents. So I did the responsible thing. I sent Johnny into my office to rummage through my closet in the middle of the night. And it was there, a White House menu. Look at that. Watters has classified documents in his office. Spread eagle for anybody to poach. Hopefully Trump declassified the menu before he signed it and sent me home with it. You know, I'd hate my enemies to know that that night we dined on seared scallops and celery root gratin. I don't know. You know, I don't want to compromise any of our people in the field, sources and methods. I don't want to get people killed. The thing that worries us about Joe's docs is that we don't know what was in them and we don't know who looked at them. Joe kept them out in the open. They might have been for sale. He had a box in the garage next to the Corvette, and he had one on the dining room table where he had a kid's party, and Hunter got so banged up he stayed out until 2:30 in the morning and lost his keys. Jill had to let him in. And that was the same time the Chinese were bribing him with diamonds and he was fooling around with the stripper. I wonder who bought Hunter's finger paintings. Was it the same people who saw the classified documents? I mean, this pay-for-play scheme's right out in the open. Hunter, the Chin, Four Fingers. Who knows if the naughty niece is involved? Where they were, who benefited from it. And this may just be the tip of the iceberg.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.